we want to thank everybody for praying. I hope you were on the prayer chain email things and kept getting stuff from Nancy Goldstein. Also, Lori during the trip would get on the internet on Facebook, I think, and send pictures back. The prayer group prayed for me not to have any injury to my foot. And when I got back home, I went to see my podiatrist, and he took a look at it, and not only was there no new injury, the old one had disappeared, and the circulation in my feet has returned to normal. This is not a normal thing. To have diabetes and neuropathy, it always goes downhill. It doesn't get uphill. But in my case, I think God was involved. And I don't like my doctors much. I lost 10 pounds because I walked, drank water, and ate fresh food. I don't know what that combination has to do with health, but it seems to work. So we walked a lot. The temperature was 91 degrees for 22 straight days. Prior to going, the film crew from Raleigh-Durham, companies called Xfinigent, they brought a crew of 5 people to film and record, and some of them were volunteers, actually 6 people. Monty Felix from South Carolina came. He owns the Alaglass swimming pool manufacturing company near Columbia, and he held the boom mic. We had lavalier mics, but to make sure that we didn't lose sound, because you can't get home with film with no sound, they doubly recorded with the boom mic. So he thanked me every day when we get back on the bus after every filming site for allowing him to come, because he got to stand as close to us as possible, and he heard the Bible, the history, the geography, the language from both myself and Anton Farah, an 80-year-old senior guide of Israel, probably the most knowledgeable man I know. He knew every plant, every stone, person who lived behind this hill and who they were related to in Lebanon, and what history was this stone from. And it got to be almost comical, because I thought I had ended a segment meaning 27 minutes, so we would film 40 minutes, so we could edit down to 27. And I would say, and that's kind of a wrap, and I would say something, and he would go off on another plant or on another scripture verse. But it was wonderful to have somebody that knowledgeable. He's a walking encyclopedia. His accent is going to be a little difficult, but the beauty of DVDs is you can play them over again. And whenever I thought he was saying something with an accent that may not be clearly understood in English, I would repeat what he just said in English. So I tried to help that a little bit. It's not that severe, but a Middle Eastern accent is noticeable. Anton Farah is 80 years old. I'm 74, and he outwalked me. He outwalked everyone. He was an amazing physical specimen. Climbed up to the top of every mountain and went places I couldn't even get to. So that aspect was an answer to prayer, my health. We had 2 accidents where 2 people fell, but because of prayer, no broken bones, no injuries that didn't heal up, and so we're grateful for that. Israel's difficult because you're not walking on streets like in the United States. You're walking on uneven stones most of the time, even when they're pavement or gravel or dirt or hillsides or whatever. So carrying the heavy equipment was an amazing thing to not fall. 2 very heavy tripods, And we had 4, and I'm going to say things that I don't have any knowledge about, but I'm going to say them anyway. We had 4 cameras, all of which were 4K. That's the new standard in television. All I know is that a 4K camera puts 4,000 dots per inch on a television screen. So from space, you could see the warts on my face with a 4K camera. So we put makeup on every morning with a putty knife. But anyway, these 4 cameras were as follows. There was, I learned terminology, so please forgive me for using it. But this is filming jargon. Camera A was on me. And that camera, I would tell what I wanted in the background. Then I would turn it over to the film person and say, all right, now you know I want in the background. You position us properly for sunlight and shadows and whatever you're trying to do. And then they would start filming. And they were nervous before they went over. They didn't know me at all. And this company does commercials. So they're used to filming a realtor selling a house, and the realtor's not comfortable in front of a camera. So they're used to doing 10, 20 takes to get an inch of script done. And they're used to writing the scripts and telling the person what to say. And I said to them, what's wrong? And they said, well, you sent us 1,527 pages of script. You've done all of our work for us. And we can't understand how we're going to film this much script in 20 filming days with all of the retakes. And I said, retakes? I said, I'm one take Carl. You turn the camera on, and I'll tell you when to turn it off. And they didn't believe me until I got there. And they were so dumbfounded by the amount of information coming from the 2 of us that on day 1 we spotted, I decided to write an episode on the plants of Israel for you. So that you'd have mustard seeds, and you'd have almond trees, and you'd have all of these plants that are biblical, and you'll see them and see their seeds and whatever we did with our hands. So on day 1, we were filming in a beautiful place near Bethlehem, a place where there was mustard seed. And the point of that whole thing, to film mustard seed and bamboo, is to be talking about a biblical shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. If you see bamboo, then you know that the water at the base of it is fresh to drink. So you bring your sheep toward bamboo. If you see mustard in water, you say, don't drink the water, because it likes putrefaction and animal waste. Mustard seeds prosper in garbage. So a good eye tells you don't drink this water because there's mustard seeds. So we were trying to put them together, and there was a growth of mustard seeds in a garbage-ridden valley that was perfect. And then right next to it was a freshwater stream with bamboo, so we didn't have to move very far. So remember what I told them, I'm one take Carl. You don't have to worry about it. So they set us up with the bamboo, and they set us up with the mustard seed. And that night, they would go through all their footage to make sure they got it. And because they got so caught up in the teaching, they didn't ever turn the cameras on. All of the mustard seed and all of the bamboo that we did was a brilliant place, because I learned for the first time from Anton Farah that the Middle Eastern people call bamboo a family, because when the breeze comes, all of them in the same direction as a group. And so they forgot to turn their cameras on. So I was not really happy with that, because our schedule was tight, and we weren't going to go that way again. So, you know, Lori and I would talk at night, or she would listen rather, and I would vent. And I thought, well, when are we ever going to get it? Well, we got the bamboo when we went to the River Jordan where Jesus was baptized. I did that lesson for you here last month, or 2 months ago. But we didn't get the mustard seed. So on the very last day, on the way back to the hotel to pack to fly out the next morning, I said, stop the bus, there's mustard seed. So we got out, and I did the mustard seed, ground the plant up, and did a close-up of the small seeds. They started to get their camera equipped together because the clouds started coming. It looked like rain. It hadn't rained for 22 straight days. And on the way, as I turned, there was a beautiful menorah. Do you have a menorah here in this room?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
The Menorah Plant. I had seen it in books, in nature books of Israel, of the plant life. But here I was standing, filming mustard seed, stepping on menorah plants that are exactly a menorah. I mean, they're just exactly the menorah. And so I got really excited because we hadn't seen one and I wanted to capture one. So that will be in that episode. And I thought to myself, Carl, the will of God was for them to not film day 1 so that they could film day 20 to capture this one plant. So I calmed down a whole lot. God was in charge of this whole episode. So camera A is on me. Camera B was in the hands of a man who won the Pulitzer Prize for his work for Kentucky's newspaper, and the episode on television when Muhammad Ali died. He got the Pulitzer Prize for that TV presentation of the death of Muhammad Ali and all of that stuff they spliced together. This guy was phenomenal, 32 years old, and his job was to listen to what I was saying, and then when I got away from it, come back and film close up what I was talking about, so that when we get home, they can edit those things together and get me off the screen. You follow me? Hear my voice, but get a close up of what I'm talking about. Camera C, or the C camera, was on the drone. And if you don't think flying a drone in Israel isn't exciting, we flew it 51 times out of 60 episodes. We got footage that has never been allowed. We filmed with the drone Masada, which is a very sensitive military location and filled with tourists during the daytime. So the perspective of a drone is totally different. So when the announcer says, "Welcome to Beersheba," you'll see it from 500 feet above as the drone flies in on it. And they backed it up, they turned it around, they did panoramas, they saw things I cannot see, but I assumed they could see them, so I was talking down here. So now you understand that my dialogue will edit in the B-roll of close-ups and the C-roll of a broader view of the thing. This guy that did the B-roll camera laid on the ground, got in the streams, got in ditches, hung on trees. His shots are just spectacular. He convinced a young boy that was dressed up in costume of the time of Christ with a beard. He was a camel driver. He convinced him to walk past him in front of him while he lay in a ditch, so that the angle of the camera turned the camels and him into a silhouette against the sun in the background. I mean, he's a genius at composition. So these episodes will be filled with that kind of stuff. So it'll not only be informative, it'll be, I think, entertaining. I went over there expecting to film one episode in a Bedouin tent, because Bedouin tents are important for people to see how Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob lived. And we get over there, and there aren't any more Bedouin tents in Israel. They're all gone. The Bedouins are there, but they're living in little houses made out of corrugated steel or cardboard or whatever else, because the tent is not as convenient these days because they don't move anymore. The tent was designed to move from place to place to follow the water. So we discovered a Jewish man who had decided to use a Bedouin tent out in the middle of the wilderness just east of Jerusalem, between Jerusalem and Jericho, as a place to hold bar mitzvahs and a place to hold dinner parties and stuff. So the Bedouin tent is there, authentic Bedouin tent. It is the structure that's going to last till Jesus comes, with a Bedouin tent covering on it. But it was enough for us to do the lecture. And that's where we got the camel thing. The camels would bring people from the main parking lot down a very dirty road out to this Bedouin tent. And you had the feeling that you were back in the days of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So even the Lord provided that. I mean, you get a Bedouin tent in Israel where there aren't any anymore. We would have literally had to gone into Jordan to get Bedouin tents. Israel has tried their very best to get Bedouins to integrate into the society. And they've even tried allowing their young men, the age of Isaac and Kevin, to join the IDF. And if they would join the IDF, they'd give them an education and then give them a free ride at the universities to get an education. All of that has failed. Bedouins still want to remain outside of society. Instead of having a tent, they have all these makeshift buildings. And they sleep with their animals in their house all night long. And you've got sheep and goat dung everywhere. And it's just an amazing sight to see. But I wanted to show you Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not today's modern Bedouin. We were denied access only at Roman Catholic sites. They saw us walking in with all these 4K cameras and boom mics, and the fellow filming made a mistake. He wanted to look professional, so he had everybody have the same baseball cap with his name on it, a shirt with his name on it, so we looked like a television crew. So much so that Lori was approached somewhere. Please, what television studio are you from? Because I'm going through a divorce with my wife, and I'd like to be on TV and tell the world my side. Strange stuff.
And I got to hear
But the Roman Catholic Church has a position that you can't come in here and film because you're a commercial group. We'll let you do whatever you want. Oh, yeah, okay, we'll let you in if you give us $200. Suddenly, the God of the Catholic Church allowed us to get in. And I say that without any worry about embarrassing or hurting anybody's feelings, because the church would never have seen one penny. It was the person denying access at the doorway that would put that $200 in their pocket. They were using the church to extort money. Now do you know why I'm not? So we spent $1,000 getting into Catholic sites to film, where I used to go in for free as a guy. Anyway, God provided that money, and we have the footage. And I think we have some really exciting things to tell you. The lesson that I did here on the baptismal site of Jesus. First, the crossing site of Joshua bringing the Israelis into the promised land. Secondly, in the book of Isaiah, it is the place that in the book of Kings, where Elijah and Elisha smite, or King James passed this, they smote the Jordan River at the same spot. Remember, and it opened up, and Elijah went across and passed, and Elisha came back and smote it with the same prayer shawl, and it opened. And so I did that chronologically on site on the River Jordan where it took place, so that I could then tell the story of this is exactly where Jesus chose to be baptized, in the River Jordan, because it took Joshua to bring people into the promised land. And it takes Joshua, Yeshua, to bring us into salvation. And it wasn't so much the parting of the Jordan River, but it was the baptism in the Jordan River. So Christ brought us into salvation through his death, burial, and resurrection. So we quoted the story from the Gospel of Luke where that takes place. And as we were filming, we're going to take the story over because I was concentrating on the camera and talking to the camera.
There was a group of us sitting there watching the filming. So it wasn't like it was just a few people, but this white dove comes and lands right in the middle of all of us. Just sat there for a little bit and then flew away.
We're not sure that one of the four cameras captured it, but we think it did. It wasn't a gray dove like there normally. It was a pure white dove, not a pigeon, that flew in under the scene. And I felt like saying, "This is my beloved son." The cameras were off. We plan to do interviews with the rabbis, the business people, the professors of Israel, some Jews who are coming to Christianity. And my thought was, if I could get 3 rabbis per episode, 3 people per episode, that would be 2 episodes. Well, I sat down with the interview, and I said to Rabbi Ruskin, Rabbi, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da, and 20 minutes later, I asked the second question, and 20 minutes later, I asked the third question. And we probably have 45 minutes per rabbi, per interview. They won't be put together, they'll be separate interviews. And what they said about Christianity and Jesus Christ is stunning. It's revelation that they are coming to the fact of realizing that without us, they have no hope in this world. Up until the current election, I'm sure you're aware that Benjamin Netanyahu was turning cartwheels as a result of our election because he knows the conservatives really take seriously the protection of Israel. Up until then, the rabbis were beginning to say, there's no one going to help us except God, so we better bring the Messiah. And it says to bring the Messiah, we better make friends with our Christian friends. So as you know, I've shared that with you as well. The rabbis on December 3rd, 2015 issued a declaration to accept our hands and to work with us in studying the Torah, which makes me very happy. Because Paul says that Jews come to Christ by the schoolmaster of the Torah. So sure, I'll study the Torah with you. Because you're going to ask me a question one day, and I'm going to let a Christian answer. His name is Jesus. So that part of it went really well. On day 1, we filmed the rabbi's wife, Sharon Rosen, whose job it is to get the groups on the Temple Mount to live in peace. Christians, Muslims, and Jews. Can you imagine this job? That's her job. We finished the interview, and we're on our way over to interview her husband, Rabbi David Rosen. And he says when we get there, did you hear the news? And we said, no. He said, 2 blocks from where you were with my wife, a terrorist was shot dead after killing 2 Jews and wounding 3 others. And it reached the international news on October the 9th. You have heard about this. The Jews shot dead and one of the terrorists in Jerusalem 2 blocks from where we were filming. And we never even knew about it. Of course, the next day, October the 10th, the gentleman who had passed, the terrorist, his house was bulldozed. And that's the way Jews deal with this terrorism. They don't worry about profiling or any of that kind of thing. They just deal with business. But other than that, we were safe. And the Israeli Defense Forces were very cooperative and helped us do a lot of things. To film the drone in 51 sites out of 60 is an absolute miracle of God. There were some places we couldn't fly because Israel was listening to everything we were saying anyway. The good news is the drone never fell out of the sky. The 2 that were working the drone were both hearing aid people. And to fly a drone, one needs to watch the camera to see what it's filming, and the other one needs to watch where the drone is. and they need to be able to communicate with each other and hear. Neither one of them could hear without hearing aids. And the guy helping him, who was supposed to be watching the drone in the sky, left his hearing aids at home in the United States. So he's nearly completely deaf. And they're yelling at each other. It was hysterical watching. It was Keystone Cop. Paul, who was watching the monitor, Frank, where's the drone? Frank, where's the drone? I don't know. I can't see it. Excuse me. Hi, Frank and Nancy. A lot of humor. And the humor was important because on the filming days, it was very stressful. When we were on Mount Zion, Nancy Wilson fell. I was walking ahead of her, and there were big stones the size of a coffee table. She didn't notice them because she tipped her head back to drink water. She hit it with the middle of her leg between her knee and her ankle and fell face down. We thought she was broken something, but in prayer, seeing a doctor, which was a hysterical story by itself. The little country doctor showed up at the hotel, opened his little black bag, and gave her a used tube of ointment. Tongue depressor fell out. I mean, it's just kind of a country. But anyway, praise God, she came back healthy. I'm sure she's still healing up from the hurts. But the Lord even blessed in that regard. The last day of filming, Paul Baumann, that was flying the drone, fell right in Jerusalem, right in front of a bus, which stopped just in time. It run over his legs. Less than a foot from him. It's an absolute miracle. And he had a big money clip in his pocket with a huge coin on it. And when he fell, that's what hit his leg, and he got a hematoma from that. And I tried to tell Paul not to carry so much money with him next time, not to have such a big wad in his pocket. Really, it was the coin on the money clip that hurt him. But that could have been a disaster. So the Lord blessed in that regard. I don't know if you have any questions about the filming, but it's all in the can. And now the real job of editing begins. And that's going to involve myself, and I promise to get all the footage. Anybody understands what I'm about to say, please explain it to everybody else, because I have no concept. They filled 22 1 terabyte hard drives. How many hours of film is that?
A lot.
22 1 terabyte hard drives.
22 trillion.
22 trillion bytes. And I have the privilege of getting all of these episodes, I'm going to use the word I understand, soldered together, all 4 cameras, and they'll send it to me with a time code. And then I have the privilege of saying, cut this, add this, put the description on the screen. Just like I've been editing for the last 6 or 7 years, all of the videotape for the Timothy program. Then send it back to them, and then they will produce a final product. Paul Baumann will do the introductions to each scene after he sees the scene, because his introduction has to match what you see. And then we'll add the opening tags and the closing tags, and we'll be bringing episodes here in December, that's my hope. Anybody interested in seeing any of it?
Let's put it this way. My hard drive is a terabyte or less, and I have the majority of the Bible studies on there that you've done here, plus all of my personal stuff.
And you still have space?
Yep.
So I think the average DVD is 5.48.
Mm-hmm.
A terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes.
Yeah.
We drove 3,520 kilometers. How many?
Somebody divide that by, what is it, 0.62? 3,100 and 3,520 kilometers divided by, was it 0.6 of a mile? I don't know if it's that simple. That's nearly 2,000 miles. And we walked that far too. To and from the bus. Lori was the officer in charge of morale. She and Nancy kept us laughing. When I take tours to Israel, we give away 3 prizes to the tourists, and we let the people vote for whoever this is. So we always have the best tourist, the second best tourist, and then the Goha. Goha is a fictitious man who does everything stupidly. And so on day 1, Paul Bauman, the man that flew the drone, already had earned the Goha award. There was no competition from then on. And Nancy and Lori laughed at him so hard every day. They just kept the bus in stitches. And he finally nicknamed them the Gaggle Twin. So, everything you can imagine. They laughed at him. He has a size 15 quadruple E foot.
Oh,
It's almost square.
it's the biggest thing you ever seen. And you know Nancy.
She said to him one day on the bus, "Take off your shoe, let me see your foot." And he showed her, and she started laughing. She couldn't stop laughing. But we had one of those mini buses with 15 passengers, and it was filled with just 9 people because of the camera equipment. And our suitcases and stuff were in the back. The drone boxes, there was a backup drone plus the drone that he flew. Because if the drone goes down, you got to have a backup plan. And it never got out of the box. But nonetheless, the box for the drone is at least what's bigger than this table.
Yeah, it's like a big suitcase.
Going into Israel, they said, "Y'all come." Now leaving Israel, the people with all that camera equipment had to open every box, take out every drone, every propeller, every engine.
They said, "Follow me."
They came to the plane 5 minutes before it departed.
Well, they were standing, yeah.
They had to go through such an examination. Now, why they didn't check it that thoroughly going in, I don't know. But leaving Israel, they really made them jump through hoops to prove that it was a drone, was a camera, was a tripod. So, the good news about this filming equipment, if you've ever been to an airport and you've seen where they can check in luggage at the curb, that the bellhops have these big carts with the camera equipment filled one cart from top to bottom. That's how much equipment. And the Lord blessed us with not having to pay excess baggage fees. We planned in about $6,000, and I think the total was under $3,000.
Oh, wow.
Because people just understood what we were doing. And Paul Bauman didn't mind telling people all the way along at customs and everything else, we're on a mission for God. We're filming God's land. Okay, sir, $600 instead of $2,800. Every time that would happen, that saved the budget. So we came home and we had raised $149,550 and spent all the $2,600. So we came home under budget.
One time he got stopped before he was getting ready to fly the drone, and they said, "Do you have permission to do this?" He said, "I do." "From who?" And he said, "From higher powers that be." "Oh, okay."
He was going to say God the next time they asked a question.
"Oh, okay."
But we really had a great time. We met my camera lady, who's named Leanna Crumpler. She's from Raleigh, Durham. And Lori took her over as mom. And so they formed a great bond. And I think you invited them to our house for supper when this whole thing gets done. So Leanna and the crew will be in Charlotte, and you're all welcome to come and eat. Lori's cooking now, and she's going, "Oh, great, you just invited me over." But I'm excited about telling you that the initial step, the hardest phase, is over. getting it captured on film. Now the job of selecting scenes and cutting things. We had the original archaeologist, who was a Muslim, who dug the site called Magdala, where Mary Magdalene is from, on the Sea of Galilee. He accepted our invitation and came and described his discovery of the coin he found personally that dated the synagogue to be the time of Jesus. And there was an international headline around the world the day he did that he said, "I have found the synagogue of Jesus." And here's a Muslim excited about Jesus in the episode. So we also invited Father Eamon Kelly to talk about Magdala, because the Catholic Church has custody of that big site. And we gave him 15 minutes, and 2 hours later, when he was finished, he asked for 5 minutes more. Kelly's a Roman Catholic, so you'll see him on the screen. I'm happy to tell you, when we were on Mount Carmel, there's a little building there next to the statue built to Elijah. And you stand on the platform above this little building, which is really a chapel and a kind of a curio shop. Platform, you can stand in the open air and see the entire valley of Megiddo. So you've got Haifa to your left, and you've got Nazareth straight ahead, and Mount Tabor, and Mount Gilboa, where Solomon died, or Saul died, and Megiddo to your right. It's a beautiful view. 50 people from Nigeria came up on the roof while we were up there filming. And I asked their leader to sing and dance. Little did they know that Dr. Coke is black. So as soon as they started doing their singing and stuff, I got my handkerchief out and I started dancing in front of them. They went ballistic, and they captured that whole thing on film. And that'll be part of the Mount Carmel's episode. And what I didn't know was this other fellow doing the B-roll was down underneath us in the chapel, because there was a Korean group singing in Korean, a Pentecostal Korean group singing on Mount Carmel, and that will also appear. And those kinds of things, when we were filming at the upper room, there was a man playing a harp and a woman playing a violin, and we just filmed them and recorded it, and they gave us permission to use it, so that's some of the background music. Things like that just happened all the way along because people wanted to be a part of this. And Jews and Christians and Muslims all cooperated with us. And I can't think of one ugly thing that happened except the 2 people that fell. Wish that hadn't happened, but they're well today. Any questions?
I was going to say, there's DVD. If you take a DVD and it's not compressed, we take 4,600 DVDs to cover at 22 gig. I mean, 22 tera.
How many DVDs?
4,600.
Now I have a perspective.
You better get busy.
4,600
You're gonna do this
DVDs.
by when?
Well, we figured to start doing it and having them coming out in late December and all through 2017. We hope to be done by 2018, December 31. But the thrill of it all is we have found many ways to, I don't like the word market, but to present it. First, it's for our Timothy students. There'll be 2 quarters, Southern Israel, Northern Israel. But Xfinity is experienced enough and have enough contacts that some of these episodes will be on the History type channel. We've also made contact with other groups such as, where do we keep stuff in the United States? The Smithsonian, they've talked with the Smithsonian. And other people are very interested. The most interested people are Christian television stations, because they're going to get 52 half-hour episodes that they can just keep running until Christ comes, because it's good programming. It's Bible and the Holy Land, and no denominational thing to deal with. It's just going to be raw Bible, raw Israel. Public television will want to run it too, because they're always in demand for programming because it comes and goes. Public television stations don't have something they can rely on of a super quality. That's why we shot in 4K. That's the standard now on TV. Lori just informed me that we can buy a television set in 4K now. Not sure if that's some suggestion somewhere or not. It is so dense, my computer can't edit it. My computer could play 4K if you wanted it to. So they have to dumb it down for me. And whatever that means, down to below even HD. I don't even know what's below HD, which is 2K, right? I'm saying things I have no idea about. I should ask Dave to help me here. But
There's nothing I really got to add about that, except that in the editing process, if you don't have the equipment to go through the 4K material, and they give you something that's lower resolution for you to make your edits on, then that means that they've got to go back in and take that 4K and make it match up to what you've done in the lower resolution thing. So that's almost like a
double edit.
double editing process.
It might be best for me to buy a 4K computer. I
And
don't
I
know
don't know
if
what those cost.
I have no idea. I'm talking
I know they're
about
not inexpensive.
any questions or comments about the filming process, what we did over there. We'd love to have had all of you there. We had a skeleton crew, not in physical appearance, but and that worked out well. Not to have to worry about pleasing or babysitting somebody. Everybody had something to do.
What was your day like in terms of, what was your time frame during the day? There comes a point where the light's not any good anymore.
5:30 wake up, 6:30 breakfast, 7:30 on the bus, 8 o'clock on site to get the morning light for certain sets. Morning and evening light seems to be better and more preferred by photographers. And we would do 3 to 5 sites a day. We got better from the third day onward because instead of filming one camera, then another camera, and then a third camera, we did all 3 at the same time. The drone would be flying overhead. Sometimes I think the sound of it got into my microphone. That thing would fly sometimes 1,000 feet above ground, and you wouldn't hear it then. But if it got down to 400 feet, you could hear it, particularly if there was a little wind causing it to, kind of strain into the wind. But that was a typical day. And because of the nonsense we experienced with the Catholic Church in Jerusalem, at holy sites such as the Pool of Bethesda, they wouldn't let us in until we paid money. And so we didn't do that till toward the end. We came back to Jerusalem to film because we realized we had to pay money. But because of that, we lost a day of rest. We had to film, so we really only had 1 full day of rest, didn't we? They got there on the 8th. We started filming on the 9th. We left Israel on the 28th. So 1 day of rest during that whole period of time. We rested. We would go back to the hotel, have supper, and go to bed. But the filming crew went to their rooms, whatever that means. Apparently there are chips in the camera, and they were downloading it, and I think into the hard drive. So sometimes they were going to bed till 4 o'clock in the morning and getting up at 5:30. They really earned their pay.
Plus, they were having to charge everything.
We found out that we didn't take enough batteries. When we'd walk into a little corner store to buy batteries, they were happy to see us. We would buy 50 or 100 at a time. And we found out on a couple occasions we bought batteries that probably had been on the shelf for over 4 years. And so they wouldn't last at all. And so we soon learned to go to the bigger stores to buy fresher stuff. But charging batteries that are lithium helped me with this. I don't have any idea, but That has to be in a wall. And we were dealing with 240 direct current probably. So I don't know what that meant, whether it's faster than 110 AC or not, I don't know. But during the Eamon Kelly interview, they were going low. Now cadmium, lithium, you have to put them in a special sack or something on the airplanes. You have to tell them you have them. There's a whole thing that they went through. But I'm pleased to tell you that Paul Bauman and Extenogen was a very professional group, and they did a remarkable job.
Did they do all the logistics for you, or did you?
No.
Have somebody?
I hired Sammy Seaman, who does my tours, to make sure that he understood, and I told him exactly where we wanted to be every day. We made adjustments as traffic would allow, or as high holy days would change, but he understood what we all wanted to do. But he made the hotel, bus, lunch stop logistic things for me, and I just told him where we needed to be during that whole period of time. And we all worked together before, so as this trip went on, Sammy Seaman, the owner of the S-Class Tours, he's the owner of the bus company. He doesn't drive a bus, but for me, he drives. He likes my tour, and I think he likes to get out of the house for 2 weeks at a time. But anyway, he caught on to the value of what we were doing. He's an Arab Christian, Roman Catholic. And the guide, Anton Farah, is an Arab Christian from the Maronite Church, the Catholic Church of Lebanon. Each of these countries have their own version of the Catholic Church. And both of them really love the Lord, and their families are very proud to honor their father. They've all been educated. The grandchildren are being educated. They all follow the Word of God. It's just a very unusual group of people. But they find me almost not understandable, because when Americans show up over in Israel, they don't really want to see Israel like the Word of God. They want to see it through their denominational eyes. They want things to prove their doctrines. They're not there to have the Bible really speak to you directly, or the land. They want Israel and Jesus to have been Baptist.
Right.
I don't know how else to say that. So I'm really a stranger to them, because I speak a little bit of Arabic and a little bit of Hebrew, and we communicate all the time in ways that is a lot more than surface. The bus never moved any day without prayer. We started every day before the bus would begin to roll with someone on the bus praying, and they find that refreshing. Middle Eastern people don't understand American Christians. We say we believe and we don't live the lifestyle. It's very confusing to Jews and Christians in Israel why we don't follow the Word of God and say we love Jesus. So with our groups, they find it very, very, very interesting that we know Hebrew, we value it, we value the land, the stories in the Old Testament, particularly the book of Genesis. When you see the episode on Beersheba, you're just going to be thrilled. And Lori needs to tell you one story before we open the Bible, and that is, when you go to Hebron, you are in a place that is very hostile. And not one out of 1,000 groups that tour Israel ever get to Hebron, because it's a hot spot between the 7,000 Jews who live there and the 500,000 Muslims who live there. Because the IDF guards the cave of Machpelah and the burial sites of Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Jacob. And where the cave of Machpelah is, there's a building built with a middle wall of division, and one side's a synagogue and the other side's a mosque, so that both people can look on the tombs of Abraham, Sarah, Isaac. Guess where we filmed?
Not the synagogue. It was the mosque. So it was the first time I'd ever been in a mosque. And the women had to wear this cape-like thing that had this hood that came over your head. Kind of felt like Red
burqa.
Riding Hood.
They wear a burqa.
We went in and somebody was teaching. And of course it was in Arabic, so we didn't understand it, but very ornate, very bright, very dark. Just made me feel dark. So I'm walking around singing "What a Friend We Have in Jesus" until I got back out. But that was quite an experience to have done that.
Why did you have to go into the mosque?
Because those were the better views of the tombs.
Okay.
The sight from the synagogue side would have been very limited.
Yeah, you look through a window basically, but this one, Isaac's is in the middle of the mosque. It was there, and Abraham's was off into another room. But
Isn't there
it was
also,
different.
and I think this may be the same place that Jews or people who are not Muslim can only have access to that at certain times of the year too, in that building or within that structure. I think that's true.
They are denied access during Ramadan and so on and so forth. So you're right, they are limited. And this is to keep peace.
Yeah.
I mean, you have all the faiths of the world on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem and at the birth or burial place of Abraham.
Now, I may have missed this. Did you guys get to do anything close to the Temple Mount? Or?
Now that's an interesting thing. We tried every way we knew. We called in all kinds of higher powers, and we were denied access because of that killing on day one. There was a real threat from the radical Muslims that because the Jews were gathering in that area for the high holy days, that there would be some terrorist act. So they preferred that we not go up there and cause attention. The first
time a lot of equipment.
when you walk on the camera on the equipment that we had, the mosques or the Muslims, you think, what are you doing this for? Are you going to use this as propaganda against us? So we tried. So what we ended up doing was getting on the top of the nearby Mount of Olives and filming at a distance. And then got close-ups when we could. So that episode will be not on the Temple Mount, but you have a better view actually from up above it. And obviously we didn't fly a drone over it.
Right.
Or in Jerusalem.
The national incident.
Oh my, Dr. Cope arrested,
You'll
serving
still be there, I think.
yeah, free lunch and free bed and the whole thing. Yeah, we really wanted to get on the Temple Mount and tried everywhere, but that's the only site that we didn't actually access. Is that it?
Are you gonna did you not get an interest?
Well, here's what happened.
What's the
Because
deal
of
with
the,
that?
because of the terrorist act, he got very busy.
And
Because
the
of,
high holy days.
because of the high holy days, he was very busy. We have 4 avenues toward him, and these things are not edited yet. I will fly to Jerusalem tomorrow if he will just give me a 15-second. Dr. Cope, welcome to Israel, and shake my hand, because it's in his interest to do so. We're going to show this on international television and international DVD sets all over the world from now till Messiah comes. And it puts Israel in the perfect light, showing that they are even-handed. They don't suppress Christians, they don't suppress Muslims. And it's really a virtual tour of Israel and Israel's people. And every one of the Arab or Jewish rabbis we interviewed are working with radical Islamists, trying to bring peace in the Middle East. So we had the very best to show off Israel. So it's in his interest to do so. Right now, I think what is going to happen is one of the rabbis, David Shlomo Riskin, who is a very close friend, probably will make it happen for us. I don't even need to be in the room. Just turn a camera on him in Israel and send me the footage in a Dropbox, Welcome to Israel. That's all I wanted to say. His face and those words are a positive endorsement of what the product is that you're about to watch. Places in the world, him appearing on the video, they'll turn it off immediately. It was that he's not there. I don't know. But I'm telling you, everything else happened that we wanted. Everything else happened, and more. Short Bible lesson. If you open your Bibles to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. I look at this verse of scripture in English, and many of you have studied with me this verse in Hebrew. And it says in English, in the beginning. The Hebrew word translated 3 words, in the beginning, is Breshith. Bresh is the single word inside of Breshith, and it happens to be the second to the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And Resh is your head, from your forehead to the nape of your neck. This is the first word in the Bible, Resh. It has a Beth in front of it. That Resh. And then it has a feminine plural ending. Not to be translated in beginnings, plural, doesn't mean plural. It means all that was in the beginning. It's like the word Elohim, for God is plural, but it doesn't mean more than one God. It means all that God is. You can't just say Aloha, singular. You have to say Elohim to include the works of the Holy Spirit, the Father, the Son, the Word, all that God is. So, Breshith should never be translated in the beginnings. In the beginning and all that was, which is a mystery to all of us. We don't know what was in the beginning. But the first letter that is added to the word Resh is the word, or the letter Beth. Beth. Resh. Beth. And it means in. Afo Dr. Carl. Behader. Where's Dr. Coe? In the room. Behutz. Out in the outside. Beh means in. That's why it says in the beginning. But the first letter of the Bible is the letter Beth. Now, if you turn to Deuteronomy 34 and you look at verse 12, the very last word in the Torah, the very last word, both in English and in Hebrew, is the word Yisrael. In verse 10, 11, and 12, God is talking about Moses being a great prophet. No one had done greater works than he. And you remember in Deuteronomy 18, Moses himself said, there's a greater prophet than me that is coming, and his name is Jesus. But the commentary on Moses is he's the greatest of all prophets up to Christ. And so the last word in the Torah is Israel, which makes the Lamed the last letter of the Torah. Now the problem with the Torah is that the name has been changed 3 times. First, it got changed to Greek. Then from Greek, it got changed to Latin. And then from Latin, it got changed to English. In that changing, the meaning of the Hebrew word has been lost. In fact, it has become a negative term, and it is resisted by almost all Christians. So, the word in Hebrew that I'm talking about for Torah is the verb behind the noun Torah. The verb is yara, Y-A-R-A, and it is to have a 10-year-old boy with a brand new bow and arrow with a target 100 feet away and have him shoot at the target. Every time without any instruction, the little boy will aim right at the bullseye. And when he lets go of the string and the arrow flies, tell me what happens.
Fall short.
Every time it does what? Because the child doesn't see something. In other words, he's not aware of the unseen. I hope you're listening. So not seeing something, he needs someone to stand there and instruct him, who knows, having done it before him, that there's an unseen force called gravity that is pulling that arrow down. So the instructor says, son, aim higher. So the boy doesn't aim exactly at the bullseye, he aims above it. And the bow lets go and the arrow arches and it hits the target. Now, the word sin in the Bible is the word fall short. It's not a complicated lesson, is it? For all have and fallen short. It's really very simple. To fall short of the target is called sin. So an instructor, a yara, to instruct, becomes in the noun Torah. Yara, a verb. Torah, the noun. English example, run is the verb. The noun from the verb run is runner. Yara is the verb, to instruct. Torah is instructions. Now, when the Greeks translated into the Septuagint, actually when the Jews translated into the Septuagint Greek, they were not familiar with Greek, and they chose a very bad word. They used the word nomos, N-O-M-O-S, which is the measure of the gravitational force on the Earth around the Sun. Nomos describes the orbit, which is always consistent. The Moon has a consistent orbit, and once in every 40 years, it gets very close, and once in every 40 years, it gets very distant. So it appears bigger and smaller, but it's in an elliptical orbit around the Earth. And so that is the word nomos, to be created, to stay in an orbit by something unseen. Are you still with me? So they got some of the idea, but the boy shooting the arrow didn't realize there was some force unseen. You see their logic in choosing the word orbit, because there's something unseen in a consistent orbit. But how far away from instruction have we gotten? Now, the Latins, the Italians, say we want our Bible. So they send Jerome to Bethlehem, and he translates the Latin Vulgate. And what does he use as his main text? The Greek. So he sees the word orbit, or law of orbiting, and he chooses from the available Latin words the word lex, L-E-X. So when the English Bible gets the Latin Vulgate, King James is based on the Latin Vulgate, we see the word lex, and we know it means law. So we've gone from instruction to orbit to law, and we look at that word law negatively. And how do I know that? Everyone in this room and watching by the internet, when they see a police officer on the side of the highway, you hit your brakes every time, because law is negative. You interpret the law as being something negative to conform you to a particular speed limit. If you drive 65 on I-52, you will get run over by police officers.
That's true. That's right.
Don't even think about I-85 and 70 miles an hour. You better be in the slowest lane. Until a cop pulls up. Have you ever watched this phenomenon? people are going by you like crazy, and a cop pulls on ahead of you, and everybody goes, and they won't pass a cop no matter how fast they go. Traffic begins to back up. And they're still exceeding the speed limit because the cop is.
He's in the far left.
And I'm telling you that the law is negative because of preaching. For the last couple of 100 years, we've been told we're not under it. Now, I'm going to stop in this lecture and tell you that the Torah, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, is not negative, nor is it anything to be avoided. It is the instruction of God, and we're going to come back to the Lamed and the Beth here in a minute. I want someone to tell me, and we're going to turn the camera on you, one law in the Torah that's wrong. So I want someone to tell me which one is wrong. Are you having fun yet? So none of them are wrong. None of them are bad. Now I'd like a third person to tell us which ones have been outdated and been nullified because they're old-fashioned. How am I doing? We're going to have you teach this at the Church of Christ. Are you ready? 2 men only.
He's stirring the pot.
I'm stirring the pot. Now, I've never found anybody that has any complaint against the first 5 books of Moses. Now, I've had people say to me, that Leviticus chapter 11 deal, eating pork, that's a Jewish law. I've had people tell me. So I look at them and I say, you know what? Thou shalt not commit adultery. That's a Jewish law.
That's right.
Don't steal. That's a Jewish law. How many see where I'm headed here? Where is the word stupid? Written on your forehead. Listen to what we say. All these laws are good. None of them are bad. None have been done away with. But I don't have to do them because I'm under grace. You don't have to follow the instructions. Now, let's talk a little bit about the intent of God here. You're going to be shocked what the Torah is. It's not law. God never wrote these laws to interfere with ham sandwiches. He's not against pork picking.
Pig picking.
What is it? Pig picking. He doesn't even mind a good scallop dinner. Lori and I are celebrating our 8th wedding anniversary. In spite of someone in this room whom I won't mention, that said when I married Lori, you old dog.
Sly dog.
Sly dog. Sorry, I left the word sly. But anyway, she ordered a fish platter down on the Shem Creek, Charleston.
Very.
And she had shrimp, she had scallops.
Yes, yeah.
She said, these are so good. I said, let me have a bite of it, Mr. Kosher Carl. So I ate a scallop, and as soon as I got it in my mouth, the waiter walked up and said, you eat those things? They're called the skunk of the sea. Non-believing waiter. There they weren't kosher. All bottom feeders, including birds, fish, animals, are forbidden in Leviticus 11 not to send you to heaven or hell. Those are the instructions so that it might go well with you, that you might live a long life. Don't buy a Westinghouse refrigerator and turn it on and operate it according to a Dell computer instruction booklet. They're a booklet and an appliance, but they don't what? This instruction booklet matches what? God's creation, you. Why do we avoid it? Because frankly, we prefer our own tastes over God's. That's it. We like our own conveniences rather than His. We say such stupid things as, I don't want anybody to think I'm Jewish. I don't want to go under the law. And I say, really? You're free to commit murder? Oh, no. Well, then you're under a law. You're free to steal? No. Don't steal, because the Bible tells me. Oh, we had a young praise and worship leader say to us last week through another party, I don't like the way Dr. Cope uses the Old Testament to make the New Testament clear. We just want the New Testament preached. And then he gets up and leads praise and worship, and all the songs he leads are from the book of Psalms, from the book of Deuteronomy. You follow me? I mean, it's if you go to any church and you pick up a hymnal, those authors of the hymns in the 1800s used the Old Testament to write the lyrics to their songs. So if you don't believe in it, why are you singing it? So what is the first letter of the Torah? What is the last letter? Lamed. Now you write Hebrew from right to left. Lamed Bet spells lave. Thy word have I hid in my lave, that I might not sin against thee. What is the Torah? It is the instruction, it's the heart of God. For who? Is there anything bad in it? Anything wrong in it? Anything changed?
Nope.
Now let's agree with David or not agree with David. Let's turn to Psalm 119, 142, and just see. I'm not trying to make you Jewish.
Not that that's a bad thing.
Abraham obeyed the whole Torah 400 years before Moses wrote it down. I'm trying to make you a child of Abraham. Not a Jew, not a Christian, not a denomination. I'm just trying to say, you know what? You have an instruction book that you're half-heartedly following. Your heart's not in it because you think it's negative. That it's a law. No, it's instruction. That it might go well with you. So what does Psalm 119, 142 say?
You say 142 or 42?
142.
Your right,
Go ahead.
your righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and your law is truth.
So 400 years after the Torah was written, here's King David saying, your righteousness is everlasting. And your Torah is everlasting. It's righteous. Emanu, it's truth. So when you say, I don't follow the Torah, I'm a Christian, what are you saying? I don't follow the truth. We actually only argue about a few things. We just love our ham and cheese sandwiches. That's all there is to it. The South is even proud about it. I mean proud about it. I walked into a church house Sunday morning in the South, and when I got out of the car in the parking lot, I could smell the bacon and it was that pungent. Nobody saying anything about it. Why do you eat it? Well, there was a sheet let down by God for Peter and unclean animals in it, and God said, rise, kill, and eat. And I said, did you ever read Acts chapter 11? No, sir. Did he eat any of that pork? Well, I don't know. No, he didn't. God used that illustration to see if he'd get out of the comfort of just hanging around Jews and going with pig eaters to spread the gospel.
They were unclean. No man's unclean.
That was what it was all about. Don't call unclean what I call clean. The Lord was redeeming Gentiles. Now, are you going to heaven and hell based on a ham sandwich? No. Has nothing to do with your eternal life. You are not saved by what you do. You are saved by what he did alone. You can improve on the cross of Jesus Christ and his death, burial, and resurrection. But can you do better in your life if you follow the instructions? That's what it's about. And without him telling you, this is the way, walk ye in it, don't even listen to me. I can't interfere with you and Jesus because you two are married. He has to, as your husband, ask you to walk a different way, not me. But I would like for us to get over the phobia of dealing with the Torah. What did the prophets preach? The Torah. What did David write about in the Psalms? What did Jesus, Peter, Paul, and James, and John explain?
They didn't have the New Testament.
They never had a New Testament. So I'm just wondering if God's instructions are valid today. I'd like to have a vote of approval or disapproval. It's an up or down vote. No hanging chads. Don't worry about the popular vote and the electoral college here. Just up or down vote. I have a couple of jokes that I don't dare say. Gloria's actually asked me not to say. So up or down? Is God good? Does he love his people?
Yes.
Did he give them his heart?
Yes.
What do we call his heart? Because he wants us to hit the bullseye.
That's right.
We're his people. If my people will humble themselves and do what? Turn from their, seek my face, pray, then will I hear from heaven and heal their land. So in any case, I just want to tell you, as for me and my household, we're going to look into the instructions of the Lord, and whatever he says that's better for us to do, we're going to do it. And if it offends Christians that we're obeying God's word, the problem's not with us.
That's right.
Praise the Lord.
No questions tonight? No comments? I can't believe you're quiet. Maybe you're just too tired following the election.
Takes a lot out of you.
Well, there is banana pudding. Now we're voting up and down on that. One bowlful allowed per person. Plus, somebody with a number on their seat of 6 underneath their chair gets 2 bowlfuls. Right? Find the number 6 under your chair. You get a free second bowl. We did this once in Israel. We didn't know it was being done. We were in a restaurant in Jericho, which is a Muslim town. And the owner of the restaurant surprised us and said the number 6 is under one of the chairs. And you get a free ceramic plate, hand painted by children in Hebron, to take home as a thank you for coming to our restaurant. And somebody won it. Now they took it in their carry-on so that the plate wouldn't break in the luggage. So we get to the airport, and the Israelis, IDF said, did anybody get anything free from a Muslim? as a gift to take home because they could bury a bomb in it or a piece of a bomb in it. And this person said, yeah, I got one. All right, up against the wall. Went through everything in their suitcase. Had to throw away that plate. And
Did you guys fly El Al or which airline?
we actually flew United Airlines out of Newark. And I don't recommend it. We don't have a good facility to do this Israeli security check just before you get on the plane. It's kind of a little makeshift thing where they throw chairs around and block you off. It's kind of a Mickey Mouse deal. Planes are always delayed out of Newark for some reason. So I would recommend El Al. They're always on time, and they board you an hour and a half before the flight so that there's no delay regarding boarding. And you can be sure that every carry-on has been thoroughly checked. You carry a camera on, they make you shoot a picture of the floor and show it to them. Make sure it's a camera. They're pretty serious about getting that plane there, and they have a perfect record so far. I used to fly them exclusively until the price got too high. Now that there's competition, the prices mysteriously come down. Competition has a way of doing that. If that's it, then I adjourn you to the banana pudding. Those that came late and didn't see my joke, I wasn't going to do the Bible study because I was still crying a little bit. I was working on my coloring book. They were going to bring in a therapy dog for me and get me through the election thing. But Lori asked me not to do it.